Hello, I'm Justin Trudeau. Well, no, I'm not really, obviously, for all sorts of reasons. I'm not going to sit on the desk either, because I just don't have the legs for it. And I'm not going to pretend to turn off a television either. But Justin, oh, Justin, please be serious. Now, I've been in the States for about a week, so I wasn't here when all the responses to that ad were taking place, but I have to have my say. I just do, because this is too much. First, you say you were a teacher. Well, yeah, sort of. You were a part-time drama teacher. So why are you posing in front of a chalkboard? You tried to teach kids how to perform modern dance, how to project their voice. Talk about blind leading the blind. And I doubt you have any idea what those equations behind you mean or say. You say you want to stop the personal attacks and criticisms. But then why did you call a rival politician, and a very decent man, by the way, a piece of shit in the House of Commons? Why have you made so many personal comments and attacks about non-rivals? Why did you rudely ignore a young woman journalist from our network who tried to interview you? You pretended she wasn't there for minutes on end, and even though she asked you polite questions, you just ignored her. You didn't ignore her on another occasion, did you, Justin? Yeah, you know what I mean, and you remember that, don't you? And then there is The Voice. I mean, it's not exactly Churchill inspiring the empire to fight Hitlerism, or Danton rallying the armies of the revolution to take on Imperial Austria and the royalist menace. It's more like a moaning drama teacher, really, who likes to make the teenage girls go all wobbly because they've got such a crush on, like, lovely Mr. Trudeau. You're a hypocrite. So you are a hypocrite. You've been one of the major culprits in eliminating any debate about ideas and ideology in Canadian politics, and instead have made it all about you, all about personality. You've insulted MPs and opposing politicians. You have spoken in vapid and absurdly broad generalities and had your people attack even other Liberals. Look, Martha Hall Findlay, for example, very, very impressive woman. You attacked her. What did she do? She dared to suggest that you refused to discuss specifics, and she was right. If anyone has lowered the bar, it has been you. Nor have you been willing to admit that, of course, your name and your family has given you the platform you now enjoy. I mean, do you seriously believe that you are Liberal leader because of your experience, wit, political acumen, vision for the future? Oh, Justin, stop being such a tease, darling. When you got married, the event was treated like some mock royal occasion, with the Mounties and cameras. Vulgar it may have been, but that's what the Ottawa Chatterati like, don't they? They consider themselves sophisticated, but in reality, they're a long way from that, and so are you. You were born into the aristocracy, the elite, and you assume that you are above criticism. This is an absurd ad. Absurd. I also see that one of your main supporters and advisors is former MP Omar Al-Habra, who, when he won his Liberal nomination in Mississauga, was cheered on by the crowd with shouts of, "Islam will win! Islam will triumph!" Interesting. As was your anger and rudeness when the Conservatives dared to condemn forced female genital circumcision as being barbaric. Or your pathetic and childish little rant that if abortion or same-sex marriage were even discussed in Canada, you'd leave the country or try to break it up. See, it's you and not your critics who want to expunge the intellectual from Canadian politics. Now, children, let's all pretend to be a different vegetable and act as if that vegetable had just been made an important political leader instead of a substitute drama teacher. What a lot of complete and total onion balls. I should really, get out and sit on the desk, shouldn't I? But as I said, my legs just, it wouldn't work. Or roll my sleeves up, or put in a big wig with curly hair and speak in that rather strange, ambivalent voice, But I won't, because let's just be normal about all this. I mean, Justin, no one believes you. Nobody believes you. Maybe Anthony Furey, national affairs columnist for Sun Media in Ottawa, believes. Do you believe Justin Trudeau? Or more to the point, do you believe in Justin Trudeau?
Well, his voice is it's public speaking. That's what he's doing. It's King's speech. He's speaking how one speaks. It's actually not very natural. It's a bit off-putting, but I have to give him credit that being a well-heeled white man from his background, he's suddenly become a special interest group. He's a teacher. I mean, that's not his primary identity. Come now, but he's suddenly, I'm proud to be a teacher. And, you know, obviously that's a major lobby group. So hats off to him for that branding exercise. Didn't see that coming.
Well, more specifically, he's a drama teacher. Now, as I think I mentioned this in the monologue. I can't remember. It was more than 5 minutes ago. But he was a drama teacher. Why is he sitting in a classroom with a chalkboard behind him with equations on it? I think interpretive dance doesn't require the works of Pythagoras really to illuminate it, does it?
I don't know. And he claimed he was I guess he was filling in for a drama teacher, but he was usually an English teacher or something. Either way, I don't think he was teaching grade 12 finite mathematics. Not that I did well in that course either. Right. But he definitely not his forte, I think.
No, and if he really was teaching English, I hope he didn't teach the kids to say to a government minister to call them a piece of shit, which, I mean, this is what really irritates me. He's such a bloody hypocrite, because we know, those of us in media, and I hope many more people, just how personal and nasty Justin Trudeau and his backers can be. The way he dealt with, I mentioned her not explicitly, but Faith Goldie, the way he simply ignored her for about 5 minutes as she tried to speak to him, pretended she wasn't there. His abuse over and over again of people who disagree with him. But also his lowering of the intellectual level of the debate. He won't talk about ideas because he doesn't understand ideas.
There's something rather frustrating about this idea that we are now going to take the high road when they're talking about negative ads versus positive ads. Look, if you want to take the high road, just don't go into politics to begin with. Yeah. That's what the rest of us do. I find it a little unsavory. And there's all these debates going on about, do negative ads work? Oh, they're just going to backfire on the Conservatives, or we don't do it that way. Well, if they really were going to backfire completely, and if they don't work at all, then just let it not work. Let it backfire. The fact that one has to try and spin that it's going to backfire, it does show that. And look, both the Conservatives and the Liberals are very worried right now. The Conservatives are worried because Trudeau continues to defy logic and do very well at the polls, and he could very well be the next Prime Minister. And you really want to worry when things defy logic, because it's hard to combat them. But the Liberals are also worried because they all know at the convention, I was walking around the room, when his speech got a bit long in the tooth and full of just aimless platitudes, even the people there who had been crying at the majesty of the return of Camelot, even they started to roll their eyes because they know that the Emperor has no clothes too. So there's this giant house of cards that's going on right now, and I think these ads, negative, positive from either side, are really playing into that whole insanity.
But when we talk about negative advertising, that implies dishonesty. The ads about Trudeau are authentic. This is Trudeau. He did behave like this. He does behave like this. The ads about the Tories in the past, I mean, remember, this is the party of Jean Chrétien. This is the man who actually had his own people outside functions given by other members of the Liberal Party who disagreed with him, so names could be taken. They alleged that Stockwell Day was an anti-Semite. They said that Stephen Harper wanted to reopen the debate about abortion and same-sex marriage. These are simply lies.
And that one still has traction now.
Of course it does. I mean, that's simple dishonesty. That's really negative. The stuff about Trudeau is just repeating stuff he's embarrassed by.
Well, yeah, they say that a best negative campaign ad just amplifies what everybody's already thinking. And we can talk about whether or not these particular graphics they used in the Trudeau ads were all that effective. I understand he was doing the striptease for charity. I mean, sure, why not? I'll take a few items of clothes off for charity. I'm not too worried about that.
I'll put them on for charity. I raise more money that way.
Very good. But I think the basic idea that here's a guy who, look, he really doesn't have the chops for this job. That's what's going on in the minds of many Canadians, and if they can amplify that or just bounce it back off the sounding board at people, that's what's going to keep gaining traction. And it is the truth. It was the idea with Michael Ignatius, if he didn't come back for you, well, hey, it's been proven to be true. Even if you like the guy, it's proven to be true.
Of course. What about the NDP? I don't know if you're feeling anything or speaking to anyone out there in NDP circles, but what I'm hearing is they're incredibly frustrated because there are some pretty impressive people there. Their leader is a man of substance. They're a party of
way more than Trudeau.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But they feel that somehow they can't even be heard now because it's all about a pretty boy with curly hair.
Well, it's very interesting that at a certain time, not too long ago, the Liberals decided they're going to do a race to the bottom against the NDP, because there's this whole idea that Stephen Harper is this extreme right-wing maniac, and of course he wants to just make, abortion laws, change them radically, despite the fact that he keeps saying that he won't, much to the chagrin of many social conservatives.
Yep.
So, of course, Stephen Harper is generally what one would call a centrist, a liberal, a moderate. And then, of course, Justin Trudeau, he says, the politics of division. And he has to define himself in counterpoint to Harper by being extremely left-wing, because if Harper's a centrist, you got to move to the left. And then Mulcair, who, is not a hardcore communist, is left going, well, what do I do? And then, of course, there was that moment when Jim Flaherty called about the mortgage rates and said, no, you can't put those rates that low. And Thomas Mulcair said, what's going on here? Is this a socialist republic? He had to be the voice of reason in pro-capitalism. So it is very hard for them to stake out territory.
Well, it's very interesting that the parallels with other countries. And at the NDP convention, this idea of expunging the word socialist from the Constitution, and we're not a socialist party, this happened to the Labour Party in Britain many years ago, something called Clause 4. But you saw how Tony Blair turned the Labour Party, which was a hardline democratic socialist party, into something which was cuddly and meaningless. And it's pretty much continued with that even to today. Now, if that's what Mulcair's trying to do with the NDP, his problem is that his opposition is not just a Conservative party, it's another cuddly, non-ideological party called the Liberals.
And his own party. I read through the NDP policy resolutions at their convention. They were very much socialist policies. And look, when the Conservatives are right now reigning over a government that's doing mass amounts of wealth redistribution, well, they're just a lighter form of socialists. So to argue that the practically the very proudly left-wing party is not socialist is just kind of a silly game to play. That's the way we're going in this country.
Yeah. You've experienced this too. A lot of people on the right say there is no way that Justin Trudeau can be Prime Minister. I think that he definitely can. I agree with you. It's not a certainty, but it's a very strong possibility. I just pray that Sun News is going strong and gets the license by then, because otherwise he'll have a free rein to do whatever he wants, because mainstream media, they just get down on their knees in all sorts of ways every time he enters the room.
If you think George Bush or Barack Obama were inexperienced for their positions, those two people look like gods of politics compared to Trudeau. It's unfortunate. I've said before, I don't mind the guy. I like him. He's a nice guy. He seems quite sociable, but just really doesn't have the chops for this very serious job.
Yeah, quite right, quite right. Thank you, as always.
My pleasure.